Okay, sir.
Bandwidth lo internet connection illa alli hackಿ ಮಾಡಿ.
On doing responsibilities of CA while issuing various certificates. It is said ethics is a code of guide choice of our life. I request the chairman of our branch, CA KS Kamath, to welcome the gathering. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ansita. Man is not a man without any high moral and ethics. Distinguished resource person, Mohan R. Lavi sir, galaxy of dynamic past chairman, ever dynamic committee members, immediate past chairman, CSS Naik sir, vice chairman, Abdur Rahman Musbah, senior members from our fraternity, friends, colleagues, aspiring CS, good evening to you all. Ethics is the main backbone of any organization or any profession. Because depending on the ethics, the end user of the work will always accept the work. Considering these things, even our institute has framed principles, rules, and guidelines. So any work or services from any professional bodies or any organization without ethics is of no value. Code of conduct is the principles or rules framed by the any organization. These principles or rules are mandatory in nature. These will be framed by considering the interest of the organization. If any failure of this guidelines, if any fail these guidelines, they may have to face the legal consequences. Sometimes any these rules or principles will be detrimental in the personal nature, but still it is framed by considering the interest of the organization or all the members of the organization. That is why it is to be compulsorily followed. If I can quote the examples, our institute has fixed the number of audits for a chart accountant. And according to me, these numbers are fixed or will be sufficient, or even it is more. Suppose by considering the present working scenarios. Like the same way, even the recently the new rules are formed, that is with regard to that is a collection of fees. Exceptionally, except to a few very genuine cases, nowadays many of the clients don't have a thinking of paying all the fees in time. So considering the interest of our members, these rules are formed, and I hope because of these rules in the future, our clients also may understand that they also give priority to our fees. Members, nowadays, bankers are also demanding certificate for many of the works. Nothing wrong in that. So it will be new avenues to the members, but you have to be very careful while issuing certificates. If you do any mistake, the banks will not be showing any mercy, they will be informing RBI or our institute. So suppose our institute find any gross negligent in the case of the work, so they even even our COP might be cancelled. Therefore, you have to collect all the evidence on the basis of which you will be issuing the certificate. Today we have with us eminent resource person who has a very good experience, a dynamic person, and who also has served industry at a very high positions. He also written many number of books and also given lecture at various forums in all over the globe. So today, in earlier times also, he has come to Mangalore to provide the guidance to the member of Mangalore branch. So we are honored with his presence, sir. Sir, I would like to welcome you on behalf of our Mangalore branch, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Mangalore branch will be grateful with your presence, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Members, our term of the committee is going to end on the 15th of next month, and you might be knowing already new committee is already formed, as only 3 number of new members have joined, which is sufficient to form a new committee. There was no election. I would like to congratulate the new committee members. We also like the young members, youngsters, to join or serve the institute, so that they also develop their abilities and ease the work of the institute. Example, we want to form one committee for the exposure draft. So new members can volunteer for that work for the betterment of the branch work. Dear members, existing committee members, and particularly I'll be very grateful to all the members, because whenever I asked any help from any members, not only the members of Mangalore branch, but from the corner of our nation, not only our nation, even outside the nation also, whenever I told, without any hesitation, they have come for the help, and none of the members told no. I'll be very grateful to our members of our fraternity. They have always considered our institute as first. Grateful to you all members, and a big salute. Members, you will be knowing yesterday we have celebrated Republic Day, and there were sufficient number of the members as well as students, so that we can conduct the we can celebrate the Republic Day in spite of the Omicron. So members, you will be knowing, after a long struggle of 90 years, we have got the freedom, and it is because of the sacrifice of lakhs of freedom fighters, and we are celebrating Republic Day to extend the tribute or to give the respect to those who have martyred. Therefore, I request all the members, please keep priority or reserve your day to serve the nation on the particularly this Independence Day or Republic Day. Members, presently the price for the international flight has reduced. Committee wanted to have a foreign study tour, so we'll be coming up with the latest rate what is available. I think we can participate and we can enjoy as well. We can study from the study tour. So before to conclude, I would like to welcome all the members and aspiring CAs, and I hope you will enjoy this seminar and you will enhance your knowledge from this seminar. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai ICAI. Over to MC.
Thank you, sir, for setting the right tone for today's webinar. Now, I request the Managing Committee member and immediate past chairman, CASS Nayak, sir, to speak a few words and formally introduce the resource person to the audience.
Good evening. Today's respected speaker, CA Mohan Lavi. It is my
Sir, some connectivity issue where you are not audible.
Yeah, now I am audible.
Yeah, you are audible now, sir.
Respected resource person of the day, CA Mohan Lavi. He is a chartered accountant with dual experience both in industry as well as in practice. Mohan Lavi. Hello. Hello.
You are audible, sir. You are audible.
Mohan Lavi is a qualified chartered accountant in 1989. He has over 25 years of experience in industry across a variety of industries. He has worked in senior positions in finance, in manufacturing, as software companies. CA Mohan has over 6 years of experience in practice. At present, he is a partner with Messrs. KP Rao & Co. Chartered Accountant Bangalore and heads the Ind AS and GST practices of the firm. CA Mohan is the author of books on IFRS, Ind AS, key audit matters, and other related topics. CA Mohan has spoken at various conferences in India and abroad on accounting standards, IFRS, Sarbanes, at various conferences in India and abroad on accounting standard IFRS, Sarbanes-Oxley and GST, and is a faculty member with the Institute for their IFRS certification course and registered valuer programs. His articles frequently appear in Hindu, Business Line, Deccan Herald, and Bombay Chartered Accountant Society Journal. In short, CA Mohan means fascinating, charming, infatuating, an epithet of God Krishna. He is attractive. He has all strategies of Krishna, and in Mahabharata, in Gitopadesha, Lord Krishna has addressed Arjuna all his doubts through Karma Yoga, and definitely today we will be also getting all the clarifications and all the doubts clarified by our speaker, CA Mohan Lavi. Sir, thank you very much on behalf of our institute. We welcome you for our program.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your words. Now, I request the resource person of the day, Mohan Lavi, to take over, while the session will be moderated by the chairperson of the Mangalore branch, CA KS Kamath, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Ansita, and thank you first of all to the Mangalore branch chairman for inviting me to speak on this topic of code of ethics. And yes, I think what is more important is the thing in the bottom there, including responsibilities of CAs while issuing certificates. I think code of ethics already many programs would have happened, I think.
Yes, sir. That also can be covered at the same time. Yes, with regard to the issue of certificate.
So I'll be covering both. Don't worry about it. I'll be covering both because we've all been in the same, sailing the same boat. But yeah, thank you, SS Nayak, sir, for those kind words. Krishna and all, I do not know, but at least chartered accountant, I'll understand. But I'm not so familiar with the Krishna aspects and all. But anyway, thank you so much for those kind words. As the chairman said, Mangalore branch is, of course, nothing, not very new for me at least. I've come there at least on a few occasions. got quite a few friends also in Mangalore who keep in touch with me. So what I'll be doing is over the probably next hour and a half probably, I'll take you all through the code of ethics, summary of the code of ethics. I'll not focus exclusively only on the code of ethics. And probably after that, about 15-20 minutes, I'll look at these issues of certification. And then probably we'll keep about 15 or 20 minutes for questions and answers, because I think all of you all will be having plenty of questions to ask, especially in the present day and age when everybody looks upon chartered accountant as a solution for everything. A certificate from a chartered accountant appears to be a solution for many things. I'll also discuss a couple of things which probably we should not do, in the sense that, considering the code of ethics and all, we'll probably do a couple of things we should not do. So that's what I will try to focus on. And then we will see if there are any further questions, we can always address them. On the code of ethics, the good thing about the code of ethics of the ICAI has been that we've had a code of ethics from 1963 itself. October 1963 was the first code of ethics which was issued. One of the things about this code of ethics, which we all think, is that it only gives us a list of things we should not be doing. Chartered accountant cannot do advertising services. Chartered accountant cannot do this service. It always appeared to be, this was what was there in the first code of ethics, incidentally, a list of services which you find even today in Schedule 1, which a chartered accountant is not supposed to do, which was how the initial code of ethics came into being. Of course, the profession has changed substantially from 1963 onwards. The code of ethics also kept on evolving with the profession. It kept on changing. And what we are looking at today is the 12th edition of the code of ethics. So the schedules have been updated. A couple of amendments have been made to the basic, services which can be offered, because the Companies Act also changed. So a lot of these things were amended, and the code of ethics has also been continuously been revised. And what we are seeing today is the 12th edition of the code of ethics. This has already come into play from the 1st of July 2020. It was originally supposed to come into place from 1/4/2020. And one of the things which we can see about the code of ethics here is that I will first take you back to the 1963 code. There is a very important sentence I would like to re-emphasize to the members here. In the 1963 code, the first edition of the code of ethics had this sentence about the ethics being a state of mind and all those things. But it also gave out a sort of I won't say warning, but a sort of a message saying that the council exhorts all the members to search their hearts and conscience whenever in doubt. I think this word or this sentence is relevant even today. And obviously, the idea was to have high principles of professional conduct established within the council. So this, of course, subsequent editions of the code of ethics had removed all these hearts and conscience and all. But I got this out because of the fact that I think it is very relevant, considering the topic we are speaking today, that whenever we are in doubt, just ensure that your conscience permits you to do what you're doing. And I think that itself will solve or resolve a lot of questions which we have in our mind, that we should do it or we should not be doing it. I thought this was a very important message to come across. And of course, the code has come in different, it's become a little bit more complex now. It's just not one book, it's come in many parts. One of the amendments to the code which was also done was it also addressed members who are in service, not only accountants who are in practice. It has also addressed members who are in service. It's got a separate section for that only. And a very important part of this code of ethics has been the link with the standards, independent standards, the standards on review engagements. So that also, I think, is a very nice move made by the ICAI to link the code of ethics with the independence and auditing standards also. Because end of the day, I think the word called independence, just like ethics, independence is just a state of mind. It cannot be taught. Independence cannot be taught. We can have a class on independence throughout the day, but it cannot be taught. You will have to exercise independence at that moment in time when the certificate is being asked for you. When the banker or your client asks you for a certificate and you probably feel that the certificate may not meet all the requirements which is to be met, that is when independence has to be exercised. So it's a momentary decision whether we are independent or not. Also, courtesy, the code, what has happened, it has become extremely lengthy. 581 pages of the Code of Ethics in 3 volumes. All the accounting standards have got about 600 pages. So, in effect, the Code of Ethics is almost equal in size, I can say, to the all the accounting standards, not the revised ones, but at least the old accounting standards which are there. Definitely a question arises in members' minds, a question will arise. In the present day and age, do we require such a detailed code? I won't say complicated. Do we require such a detailed code of conduct? Having 3 volumes, I will, for all practical purposes, we can only say 2 volumes because the 3rd volume comprises only case laws of what has happened in the past. I'll be taking you all through a few interesting case laws also, which members have been doing right from 1965 onwards. So these case laws have come up from 1965 onwards. So it's a definite, what you can probably call as encyclopedia of what not to do. In case you want to know what not to do, it's a definite encyclopedia for this. The response to that question, whether it should be so detailed or not, is that, as all of you will probably agree with me today, the profession has come into the spotlight, shall I say, has come into the spotlight. And everybody, wherever something is happening, look upon us for, I won't say to say it in the report or mention the report as the case may be. They always feel that chartered accountant should have mentioned about this sometime. I'm talking about the audit only, but as we all know, the responsibility of the chartered accountant is not to, detect frauds and all those things, but that expectation has not gone away. I will just give you all a very brief example of, though it is not in India, it's an example from the UK, but it gives us an understanding of what society is expecting from us today. There was a UK real estate company called as Carilion, Carillon. You all can look it up on YouTube, you can look it up on Google, it's all over the place there. Carilion was a real estate company having a single auditor, big firm of auditors. And in 2017, all of a sudden, within a period of 6 or 7 months, they ran into a major cash flow issue and had to apply for bankruptcy. This just happened in, let's say, 7 or 8 months. It just one installment was defaulted, and then the multiple cash flows issues came in. They had to apply for bankruptcy. As far as that was concerned, it was okay. But then what the UK government did was that they formed a panel of legislators and asked them, you please inquire what has happened here. You please ask everybody, ask the management, ask the company, ask the bankers, ask the auditors also. In the middle of all these things, they also asked the auditor. The investigation committee asked the auditor also. They questioned the auditors. Even this is available on YouTube. And during the course of questioning, they were telling the auditors, how come you did not know that there's a cash flow issue in the company? You did not mention this. You've been the auditor for the last 17 years or 18 years. And the auditor said, look, my job is only to report on the financial statements. There's no question of true and correct and all those things. We reported on the financial statements. The legislator said cash flow statement is also a part of the financial statement. You have also reported on the cash flow. So this discussion was going on. The conclusion of the legislators was that you need not have said there's going to be a cash flow issue. We're not going to expect you to write that there could be a cash flow issue or going concern concept and all those things. But having been the auditor for 18 years, in your audit report, there is nothing to say that this company could possibly have an issue as far as cash flows is concerned. It could be key audit matters, it could be anything. So when I read the audit report, I feel everything is perfect, but actually it's turned out to be an issue. this gives you an expectation of what the society is expecting. Whether they are right or not is a different question altogether. Society is putting this responsibility upon us, especially in such cases. That is why the code of ethics becomes very important. As the chairman rightly said, it is very critical that we breathe this code of ethics every single day, because times are getting tough, assignments are getting tougher, complications are becoming more. In the middle of all this, our certification responsibility also comes into play. So that is the basis behind which this code of ethics has been drafted. Yes, it is very, very lengthy. It is quite long, but I think it is required because it sort of covers the entire gamut of what we have got. As I told you all, the revised code of ethics has got what is the code of ethics comes in the volume 1. What and all is the professional misconduct. Your schedules come in the volume 2. And right from 1963 onwards, whatever professional misconduct cases have been ruled by the disciplinary committee of the ICAI finds a place in volume 3. The entire code of ethics, I know this may sound repetitive to a lot of members participating here, but in the interests of the topic under consideration, I think you all should definitely understand that this is required to be repeated, for the purpose of clarity. The entire code of ethics is around 5 pillars: integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, confidentiality, and professional behavior. All this has been told to us. We've been learning this right from our CA days. We know that we have to be professionally competent, due care has to be taken, confidentiality has to be maintained, and we have to be integral to all. This is nothing new for us in terms of the professional guidelines which we have got right from the time that we have qualified as chartered accountants. The new code of ethics is not anything different. It has always repeated these 5 pillars, and only thing it has given a little bit more details about these 5 pillars. I'll not take you through all these things in the interest of time. I will just give you all a few things which are probably important. I'm going to talk only about professional competence and due care, in which they have said that you please ensure that the client requires or receives competent professional services. Act diligently in accordance with the applicable technical and professional standards. We are doing it. I'm not saying for a moment also we're doing it, but there is an added emphasis on the code of ethics. We can give you all quite a few number of instances in the present situation also. Let us say, for example, there's some RERA requirement. There is some RERA requirement. Your client comes and asks you for some RERA certification or some RERA work. And this is the first time you're doing this assignment, or the first time you're getting this assignment also. So you may want to look up RERA and see what is to be done. You also have an option of asking somebody who already has done this work and telling him that, can you give me your suggestions on this, or how to go about it, or will you do it on my behalf, or any such arrangement can be made with the other chartered accountants. That is what they're talking about, professional competence. Because if you are not aware, please ensure that you get in touch with somebody and tell the client, please to speak to that person. He will be able to give you better guidance than me, or proper guidance than me. So at all times, we should remember this. At every single point of time, we should remember that this professional competence, because what is going to happen is that if we are doing something with the intention that, oh, you know what, how long it will take for me to read RERA, I can read it in 2 days, I'll do it, no problem. It may be easy for us to read it. It may probably be simple for us to interpret it also. But applying it is going to be the problem. I think application is where the issues would come in there. So that's what the Code of Ethics has repeatedly fixed on. As far as the Code of Ethics is concerned, and this is a topic which all of you all are very familiar with, I'm quite sure, facing it day in and day out. But I think the conceptual framework of the Code of Ethics has given a very clear guidance as to what is to be done. Our profession, we cannot eliminate threats. We can only minimize them. Threat means not, intimidation threat is one of the threats. Threat means risk. We can probably equate threat with risk. the Code of Ethics has said that there are various threats which a professional would face. I will give you all something which all of us are familiar with. That's why I'm saying that we will go with we'll go into familiar territory and see what is to be done there. And this is called as a threat of familiarity. The threat of familiarity is something which I'm quite sure all the members participating here would have faced at some point of time, and we face them day in and day out. The threat of familiarity, to put it in a very simple example way, is that, let us say you've got a client in Mangalore and you have been the auditor for the last, let us say, 5 years. Just to avoid this rotation problems, I'm saying 5 years. So you know him very well, or you think you know him very well. He knows you very well, or he thinks he knows you very well, whatever it is. For the past 5 years, you have been the auditor, you have been signing the balance sheet. Your staff are very familiar with the workings of the client. They know exactly what is to be done. So everybody in this environment has become familiar with each other. Everybody in this environment has become familiar with each other for the last 5 years. You are stepping into the 6th year of audit. And the risks, all you feel is that all of you, since all of you are familiar with each other, you're going to think the same question: oh, what is going to be new this year? There is not going to be anything new. So you'll continue the audit under the impression that there'll be no additional risk. But the client has entered into a transaction which he has not told you because he thinks you are familiar with it. You have not asked him because you think he is familiar with it. Let us say it's a transaction which is not accepted as per accounting standards. It may have been missed because of the threat of familiarity. That is why they are saying that this threat of familiarity is one of the biggest, especially for small and medium practices like ours. This is a very common threat. I will probably stop using the word threat. I will use the word called risk now. This is a risk we all face. Familiarity, they say, breeds contempt. But here, familiarity gives rise to a risk. It is possible that there can be a risk in the audit or in the certificate or whatever it may be because of this familiarity threat. Risk of familiarity. Okay, I'm sure that you're going to ask me a question. Oh, this is so common. Everywhere we have it, clients will be there for a long time. This risk is always there. How do we eliminate the risk? You cannot eliminate the risk, right? Auditor knows the client too well and vice versa. You cannot eliminate the risk. You will have to only minimize it. You can minimize it in the context of, let us say, the threat of familiarity. You can probably minimize it by sending a new person for the audit, if it is possible, or changing the team. Let that familiarity go away. Let a new team go away. So for each of these threats, you can see that the ICAI has given and said that they should only be at acceptable levels. They should not go beyond the acceptable threshold limit. It could, I was talking generally about the concept of audit, but it could come to a question of the certificate also. The client may ask you for a certificate and say that, you know what, you know my business so well, please give me the certificate. We look at all the documentation part later on because the banker wants it today. What do? You are familiar with him. You may want to issue the certificate, but are you taking those precautions? This is where the Code of Ethics comes in and says that try to be at acceptable levels, at least get the minimum documentation from him before you issue the certificate so that you are at least minimizing the threat of familiarity. You are minimizing the threat of familiarity or the risk of familiarity. And it goes on to say that the considerations for the audit should be independence, and this word called the professional skepticism is a new word. Okay, not really a new word, but a very interesting word developed by the ICAI. Professional skepticism. However familiar you are with the client, always look at your responsibility with a little bit of skepticism. Don't think nothing can go wrong. Something always will. Think always that something may go wrong. That should be your approach to whether it is certification, whether it is an audit, whether it's GST certification. whatever it may be. GST is not there now, but whatever it may be, you will have to approach it with this professional skepticism. This is a very interesting term used by the ICAI, professional skepticism, because if I tell that I have done this audit for the last so many years, nothing is wrong, client is very, very good, he's given me tally backup has not changed at all, I know everything about this thing. That is fine. That is obviously, that's sort of a positive for the audit to be completed faster, but you will still have to go through the process of sampling, documentation, all these things. You cannot ignore anything. Only because of this threat of familiarity. That is the point which we wanted to drive, saying that if you have to take a documentation from him and he says, why are you coming today? Come tomorrow. No, you know me. I'll give it to you definitely. I think that is the conversation we should not be having. We should be telling him that please give the documentation. It's required for my audit purposes or peer review purposes or whatever the case may be. You should tell him that very clearly. We all know once the audit is done, once the fees has been paid, though the chairman said fees is paid in installments, sometimes fees is not paid at all. Once it is done, we come back to the office, client is forgotten. Our only reminder is for the fees, that's all, nothing else. What do you do then? You cannot build up new documentation. He has also got his own priorities. He will say, I've got busy in some other work. Though the documentation auditing standard says 90 days, please don't wait for 90 days in the 90 days is too long a time. Maximum, I'm telling you all, 20 days after audit is over, complete the documentation. 90 days is not going to happen. 20 days is the maximum you all should take. If you all feel comfortable, stretch it to a month's time, not beyond a month's time. As they say, Shubha Shigram, the earlier you do it, the better it is, because documentation can be lost. Even I will tell you, I have I don't feel bad about telling this in our office only. We were having a peer review and we looked at a pretty important file. And we thought that the people had kept everything properly. We assumed they had kept everything properly. When we opened the file, we only found our invoices to the client, nothing else there. One representation letter was there, some documents were there, some invoices were there. Nothing else was there. Main audit file. Audit checklist not there, documentation not there, audit program itself not there. Audit program was in some other file. So what I'm trying to say is that when we are looking at this present situation today, I think it's time we get all this together so that we don't have any issues in terms of doing this thing and later on. A quick look at what accountants in practice cannot do. I think all of you are familiar. I'll just look at this with the very quickly, just enter into a few important things here. Fails to communicate with the outgoing auditor. This is a thing which is in the previous slide, but this is something which is very, very important. I'm sure all of you are doing it, including bank audit, including bank branch audit. You should ask. That's what they're saying. They're mandating it now. You will have to go and ask the previous auditor for no objection. Who knows what has happened in the bank audit? You should ask him for that. I'll have a separate discussion on fees separately, but charging fees based on percentage for audit work is not permitted. You can't do that. There are certain things like IBB and all you can do. Income tax valuation, you can do fee-based charging. But for audit work, you cannot do. Fundraising also, as an auditor, you may not be able to do that, but as a consulting, you can probably charge fees based on a percentage. Allows non-member, non-partner to sign documents on behalf of the firm. Non-compliance is 139(40). Appointment of auditors, 139, 140 of the Companies Act. You're not complying with that also. The overall environment is asking us to become a little bit more diligent. That's all I'm trying to say here. You all may feel, why should I have the appointment letter again? The client is known to me, but it is required. And it is a one-time effort for this. So I normally tell all the people who are in practice, I do understand the practical difficulties in this. You can't be doing this for every audit of yours. It's going to be impossible. Because you'll have to keep searching for those documents, keep searching for those papers. Building up takes time. Asking the client for more information takes time. The way I have suggested and the way I've done it in our office also is that we have built up one master file. We have built up one master file and told them that invariably all the files should be constructed this way. The documentation standard actually uses the word called construction of file, which means you have to build a file. You don't have to file the file. The file has to be built up, right from the appointment letter, engagement letter, audit program, your tests for materiality, sampling basis, invoices, documents, up to the final audit report. What and all issues were raised and what and all conclusions were reached. Everything has to be built up. May not be possible after listening to this presentation, you may not be able to do it in the next 2 or 3 days. Over time, build up one model file. Build up one model file and tell your article clerks or whoever is there in your office to use that as a basis for all the remaining files. This becomes easier. This becomes easier because you at least have a template. You at least have a template for the documentation. And the idea behind this is that this is what even the auditing standards say. If a person who is not involved in an audit wants to know how much of work has been done, he should be able to make out from the audit file. Ashtu level of perfection barala initial, but parvagila, we can at least make an attempt. We can start somewhere. At least we can start somewhere. We start somewhere by making this documentation. And I will also tell you all, one document which is very, very important is what were the issues raised and what were the conclusions reached. Invariably, this is not there in many audit files. If it is there, brilliant. It has to be there. But if it is not there, please make it. For any audit you are concluding now, please build up this document. What were the issues raised and what were the conclusions reached? There is no need for the client to sign off, you to sign off, putting DSC and all those things. All that is not required. We require a document on the file to say that in this audit, we got so many issues and this was how it was resolved. Where did it end up? Was it dropped? Did it become a key audit matter? Did it go to emphasis of matter? Did it go to other matter? That sequence has to be followed for the purpose of finding an exit for this into the audit report. It may have been dropped. It may have been dropped. There is no doubt about it. But what was the reason for dropping it? What was the documentation he gave? What was the explanation he gave? That's what it is. Right? Just to keep you all interested, a couple of case laws I'm going to tell you all. This is 1966. Chartered accountant wrote several letters to the Assistant Registrar of Cooperatives, Government of West Bengal, stating that though his firm was in the panel of auditors, no audit work was ordered to the firm and requested him to look into the matter. Held the auditor he was charged guilty of professional misconduct in the other clauses. So what has happened here, you all know. He has got registered with the Registrar of Cooperative Societies. He didn't get an audit. He kept on writing to them that I've been empaneled, I didn't get DC PAL this case. And the Registrar of Cooperative Societies informed the ICAI and they held him to be guilty of professional misconduct for this. So don't make roving inquiries. This is even more better. Rajiv Sharma ji, 2001 cases. Chartered accountant has issued the following advertisement in Hindustan Times. Experienced CA having posh office with telephone, computer, telex, car, qualified staff. Available for taxation, company law, internal control, financing from banks and institutions, contact phone number. Kandita the Madakagala present time. This happened in 2001. But I was really wondering why he put car there. I did not know why he put car. I understand, okay, staff available and all. Telephone, computer, telex, I understand. I don't know why he put car there. I'm still wondering, why he has put car there. But maybe to pick up the client and come to the office, maybe he has put that. I do not know. But I found it really interesting that he has used the word called car there. But even here he was held guilty of professional misconduct. Now, but I'm just giving you all this as a matter of placing it on record, that's all. Okay. Now, opines on financial statements where substantial interest is involved. This is something which has, repercussions in case you have got, say, for example, a related person who is also working in the company and you're doing the audit of the company. We know that these Chinese walls do exist, but to what extent do you think that influence is going to be there would become a very important this thing. And especially if you look at the IBBI thing, and quite a few of the people who are probably participating here would probably be registered valuers also. You look at the IBBI thing, they are very, very clear about conflict of interest. They say if you have got a conflict of interest, please disclose it immediately in the application form itself. Disclosure solves many problems. In IBBI case, at least IBC, disclosure solves many, many issues here. Keeping clients or money without opening separate bank account. Of course, all this were on the olden days wherein we had this, advantage of having time limit to usually take money from the client, keep it, not pay the service tax, then pay it later on. Teaming and rating basically. But, end of the day, as long as you pay the service tax, it's good. Otherwise, we have problems there. Okay. Now, as far as the intimidation, I do not think we should discuss too much about this, because intimidation is something wherein it's extreme. It's only in a few clients. It doesn't happen in all the clients. Only a few clients, they become very intimidatory. Noted about them. You would have seen certain corporates. Certain corporates are extremely aggressive. Certain corporate clients are very, very aggressive. They say, no, I want you to do this manner only. Intimidation, threats. I will dismiss you from I will remove you. See, this always happens. Always, this discussion is perennial discussion we keep having. We come to a situation in the audit wherein there is something which has to be mentioned. You tell the client that, look, I may have to put this as an emphasis of matter. I may have to qualify the audit report, or at least key audit matter. Auditor, the client feels that, no, I will have to, I can't accept this. I want a clean audit report. I'm going for private equity funding. I cannot have this qualification, and audit report should be absolutely clean. So if the discussion goes further, you will say that, no, I'm sorry that I will have to put this as a note. I don't have any other option. You please see whatever. I'm not going to accept this. I'm going to put this note in. Client says, okay, remember that there's rotation of auditors. He puts in that as the next word. Intimidation, that is nothing but a threat of intimidation. As I said, very few cases wherein this has happened, but it has happened. In Bangalore, it has happened at least in 2 or 3 cases. I know cases where this has happened. I have told the chartered accountant that please walk out. Doesn't matter. Maintain your stance and walk out. You all must, especially in listed companies, you all must have been seeing that many of these things are happening. Wherein auditors are, in 2018, suddenly there was a flush of resignation of auditors. Because you can see all the skeletons are coming out of the cupboard. Intimidation threats. Recently, I've seen our past president, Kamlesh Vikamseji, he has resigned as independent director from this PTC Financial Services. Because he found something wrong, all the 3 independent directors have resigned. So what I'm trying to say is that we should not be intimidated at all. That's the bottom line is we should not be intimidated at all. How do you safeguard against this? Okay, I can keep on talking for 4 hours about this. But you please ensure that you assign additional time and qualified, personnel to the task. Second, have an appropriate reviewer. You may not necessarily want to, you may not be under the peer review. Get somebody else to review your work. Doesn't really matter. Get somebody else to review the work done. Doesn't take much time. Let him just see what has happened. All these precautions the Code of Ethics is asking us to take. Okay, this is only for the self-interest threat. Conflict of interest. Providing transaction, okay. Providing services to seller and buyer in relation to the same transaction. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone, basically. You see this also. Preparation, valuation of assets for 2 parties who are in adversarial position with respect to the assets. You are doing basically for both the parties. Again, all these are rare instances, but still, But look at the last one. Advising the client to invest in a business in which, for example, the spouse of the professional accountant has a financial interest. This is a very interesting thing which is calling for conflict of interest. And they have purposely used the word called as advising a client. They have not said, informing the client. So your spouse has invested in a certain company. She is an investor with, let us say, some number of shares. That company is searching for more funding. You know a client who wants to invest. You bring them together and say, this is a known company, they want money, please invest there. Conflict of interest. You can see where and all these borders can lead to. They can lead to many situations wherein we have to access this thinking. This we already told you about. This is a very important thing that I should tell members. Advisory. Okay. everybody is now talking about Web3. Everything is becoming open-ended now. You can have your website, you can have, probably social media, you can have many things. You can have LinkedIn, all these things are there. Luckily, they have not mentioned TikTok right now, but TikTok also may come in some time. They may say chartered accountants put videos on TikTok also. The ICAI has been very clear saying that you can give a write-up informing what services you are providing. Absolutely no doubt about it. You are doing GST work. You are doing GST representation up to tribunal. Whatever you're doing, write-up, not a problem. Website, brochure, not a problem. They are very, very clear equally that you should not mention the fees. Please don't mention the fees. GST registration rupees, 5,000 rupees only. Don't mention it. GST registration you may do. The advisory is very, very clear saying that you give a write-up on whatever you want to do, no problem. But please don't mention the question of fees or how much of fees you are charging. I think that is where this entire, thing comes in there. I have a very larger discussion on fees, but I'm just going to tell you all a few important points. In my personal opinion, all of you must probably be aware that the institute has got a suggested rate of fees for different types of work. Suggested rate of fees for different types of work. I'm not sure how many of you have been able to actually charge the client that amount of fees, because in my experience, even if I put the total also, I'm not getting so much of fees from one client. Total of all the suggested rates also I don't get from one client. But we'll keep that aside because institute's job is to provide a suggested rate. So they are doing a suggested rate, no problem at all. At least we have the pleasure of showing the client saying that not a part, at least for GST, they are asking us to charge 50,000 rupees. You may ultimately end up paying only 25,000 rupees. At least you start from 50,000. That is an advantage of the suggested rate of fees by the institute. In my personal opinion, however, all that apart, the fees is best decided between the auditor and the client. Why am I saying this? Okay, one is, of course, the nature of the engagement would decide the fees. There's no doubt about it. And I'm talking only about private audits here. I'm not talking about CA&AG audits or bank audits, when other regulators come in and fix the fees. You have got a private limited company in Mangalore. You are the statutory auditor. You know the amount of work to be done. You know the amount of time to be spent. You are putting a cost versus benefit analysis and saying, okay, this is what I'm expecting in the fees. It may not be anywhere near the institute's rate of fees. But be that as it may, the institute is saying that you will have to, that's only for an indicator. You don't have to charge those fees. One of the problems ICAI has always had throughout this journey of this code of ethics has been that chartered accountants charging too less of fees, only for the purpose of getting the work. It is called as mandate snatching. I do not want to name the firm, but there is a firm of chartered accountants who are specialists in this tender business. They'll apply for all tenders wherein CA is required. It does not matter what the nature of the work is. It can be Ind AS, it can be GST, it can be internal audit, it can be IFC, it can be project report, whatever the nature of work is. Fees is fixed, 99,999 rupees, inclusive of GST. This is what they will do. And most of this is for government undertakings. L1 they go by, other person will go to 25 lakhs, this person is to 99,000 rupees. Okay, may not be 25 lakhs, but 5 lakhs of rupees. He will get the audit, he will get the order. They've actually got it. I know that they've got Ind AS assignments also like this in some places. Not in South India, don't worry, they're not in South India, but some other place. The confidentiality, code of ethics. Now, the institute was always aware of this. They knew that this thing happens. You quote tax audits, you quote very low fee because you want volume. You don't want quality tax audits. The code of ethics has done a very nice thing in this and said that You may quote whatever fee is considered appropriate. That's a good thing, right? Quoting a fee lower than another accountant is not itself unethical. However, you just look at how beautifully they put it in here. They said that the level of fees quoted creates a self-interest threat, wherein it might be difficult for you to perform the engagement according to applicable technical and professional standards. They put it this way. They put it in a very subtle manner, saying that if you are charging 99,999 Bata price for India's conversion, can you really carry out an India's conversion at that price? Now, why this is in the code of conduct is because suppose it does end up coming for the review before the DC, they are definitely going to say that this was nothing but mandate snatching. It's a professional misconduct is what they're trying to say. I think this is why it is there in the code of conduct. But we know practically what happens, that it's not a question of low versus high. Always is never a question of low versus high, right? As the chairman was saying, forget about paying the fees. If you ask for increasing the fees, he'll come out. COVID, he'll never remember till then. When you ask for increasing fees, only remember about COVID and all those things. We have a challenge here. We'll have to accept that we have a challenge here. Though I still believe that we can negotiate it. We can negotiate it. And I do not know whether many of you will agree with me or not. But there's a very strange habit I have noticed in some clients. If they want something very, very urgently, they want something very fast, critical document very fast, and it involves some certification, whatever it is, they are prepared to pay whatever fees they want for that. They want an India's conversion by Monday because they want to file DRHP. In that case, no problem. Whatever fees you say, will pay you, sir, no problem. But normal audit, they'll never do it. So the more pressure they are in, the better they are in terms of agreement to pay the fees, if I may use that word. I would still say that please negotiate this. It's not a question of low versus high. But I have always mentioned this in all my presentations all across the country on code of ethics, on the fees aspect. And I will repeat it to all the members of the Bangalore branch also here. It's not, as I said, it's not a question of low or high. Please keep a minimum figure for each assignment below which you will not go. This is absolutely essential. A certificate, you may say. Please keep one figure in mind. I am not in a position to tell you what that number is, right? Don't go below that, come what may. This is how you will be in a position to understand that, yes, I am getting value for my services. Also, I'm trying to be independent here because I'm expecting this risk versus reward ratio should always be in favor of the chartered accountant, not in favor of the auditor. It may give or take a few thousand here and there, it may go away, doesn't matter. But please keep this in mind. I can tell all of you all with a great degree of confidence that it has actually worked in practice. It has worked for a lot of people. I have done it a lot for these valuation professionals. See, many of the people who are valuation professionals, they pass the course and they get their first assignment. One person in Hyderabad, she got a course of, she got an assignment for valuation of trade receivables. That fellow said, I'll pay you 10,000 rupees as fees. I told her, don't go do it. It's not worth it. Keep minimum figure, 25,000 rupees, keep in your mind. If he's prepared to pay 25,000 rupees, agree for the assignment. Why I'm telling this is because it's not what the ICAI is saying about low fees and what you can do and all those things. It is obviously a comfort for you saying that if I am given this much of a fees, I will be able to do the job comfortably. That is the reason why I'm telling you to keep this minimum figure in mind. It will obviously vary depending upon the client, depending upon the assignment, depending on the complexity, all that will vary. It may also change as the assignment moves along. All these flexibilities we have to build into our fee structure. That's what I'm trying to put in for members to address here. Contingent fees. Where we can do it, liquidator, cooperative society, valuation purposes. Management consultancy services, as may be decided for the council, maybe time to time. Fundraising services, debt recovery services, and also we've got IBC also now. In all these cases, you can do fees, you can charge the fees based on a percentage basis. I will give you all an example. Fees for rendering non-assurance services to non-audit clients. I'm sure that all of you, many of you all must be practicing GST. You have no option but to practice GST, I'm assuming, right? And as all of you all know, GST is something which nobody knows about. Everybody is trying to figure out what is happening in GST, because every day there are so many things, and changes are always happening. I'm coming to the last part here. Fees for rendering non-assurance services to non-audit clients. In Mangalore, chairman gets an assignment from a non-audit client. He gets an assignment saying that, sorry, GST tumba confusing agbidide. I don't know whether I can take ITC or not. You please look at my books of account and tell me how much of ITC I can take, how much I can actually claim, how much I should reverse, and what benefit I will get. Incidentally, for all the members, it's a very interesting assignment. All of you can do this as a assignment to many of your GST clients, because nobody knows. People saying entire profit and loss account apart from salary has to suffer ITC, has to suffer GST. We do not know. Then we have got these bus numbers 2A, 2B, all that we have to see. Then we have those rules 36 bracket 4, 86 bracket 4. Client is going to just give you this assignment, say that, sir, you tell me, I have got 10 crores worth of inputs. How much should I claim? How much should I not claim? How much will I save? Suppose Commerce sir does this assignment and tells the client that, sir, you can save or you can do all these things, 1, 2, 3, 4 things. You can claim ITC on these parts, you can reverse on these parts, whatever it is. And if you do all these things, you will be saving about 2 crores by way of GST. Suppose he does that, he can charge based on percentage there. Please remember, as long as he's not an audit client, he can charge based on percentage there. Non-assurance services to non-audit clients. He's not certifying it. He's just saying that you can do this. Try money. Very interesting. Don't charge, this thing, because I'm quite sure that many clients are absolutely hazy about what is to be done, what is not to be done. So then you have got those, common credits. ITC is a complete mathematical game by itself in GST now. We have to have a lot of mathematics, statistics, artificial intelligence, ITC. But for that job, you can do on a percentage basis. So you can see how the profession has evolved, wherein they are permitting chartered accountants in certain sectors or for certain services to charge fees based on a percentage basis. Insolvency and bankruptcy, anyhow it is there. The IP professionals are anyhow doing it. That's how they charge their fees also. And of course, you've got debt recovery services. Fee may be based on percentage of fees recovered. Debt recovery may be not something which you want to do as a professional, but still, in case you are doing it, you can probably do it. Another very interesting insertion in the Code of Ethics is something called as the referral fees. You do not know or you're not having the skill sets for a certain assignment. Client comes and tells you that, can you do this assignment? Let us say it is RERA. You don't have the skill sets. You may be aware of it. See, skill sets are something, awareness is something. Awareness is, okay, RERA is there, something is there, we have to do all these things in RERA, all that you know. But you have never done it in the past. So skill set is different. You tell the client that, look, I am not very skilled in this. I will refer to you one more chartered accountant in Mangalore. Please go and approach him or her. He or she will do the assignment. Please pay me a referral fee. Either the client or the chartered accountant. So this again was not there in the previous dispensation of the Code of Ethics. The 11th edition also it was not there. Now they are saying that you spread your wings wide, don't take up things you cannot do, but still earn from it through the referral mechanism. Very interesting thing. Disclose to the clients referral fee paid or received from another professional accountant recommending services. That also is a very interesting thing. Don't fall for inducements. Of course, clients induce and madala fees induce but this is also there in the other things also. Clients will try to induce you by saying that Parvagila sir, I'll give you 3 days hotel stay in Dubai, sir. Mog money nevo. I will not take you all very far. Please look at the NFRA report, second report on ILFS. Second report on ILFS. Not for chartered accountants, this was. This is for the credit rating agency. This is for the credit rating agency. Sorry, not the NFRA report. This is a forensic audit report which is given by some firm. Yeah, forensic audit report only. Yeah. That also is there, I think, in the ILFS website, somewhere it is there. The chairman of the credit rating agency who was rating ILFS instruments, has openly sent an email saying that please arrange for 2 tickets for Champions League final match in Germany between whatever Real Madrid versus Yaro, doesn't matter who it is. ILF said, okay, fine, take it, sir. You want, you take it, no problem. I'll give you tickets. So they have actually arranged tickets for a Champions League match in Germany, wherever that match was held, for the head of this rating agency. Okay, so far so good, no problem. He went, attended the match, came back after a few days, no problem at all. Immediately after he comes back, he has to give a rating for ILFS. What will he do? He cannot give a negative rating. He cannot downgrade it. He will maintain because he remembers Champions League match only. He doesn't remember what has happened to the financials. He doesn't remember anything else. He only remembers Champions League match. That is why they are saying that gifts, hospitality, entertainment, political contribution, don't take any of these things. Your job as a professional is to render a professional service and take a fee for this. Very interestingly, one of these programs I was doing, I think for the Bangalore branch or some other branch, one member asked me a very difficult question. He said, sir, you have told me all these things, understandable. Only yesterday night, I went to one client's party and he gave me some silver plaque. Is it okay? I don't know why you're telling me after you have taken it. You should not have told. You just taken it and kept quiet about it. Agatta, all these things happen. But I am not worried about those things. I can't, there's a memento. I won't call it as a gift or anything. I'll call it as a memento. Doesn't matter really, no problem. But hospitality is a dangerous business. Entertainment and hospitality are dangerous business. Don't do anything of that sort for a client wherein you are at his mercy for anything. IPL final match ticket back, I'll see it on TV, you tell him, doesn't matter. Don't get into that mode because I think that is what the Code of Ethics is sort of hinting at. I told you, prospective clients, sporting events, very, very famous sporting events because tickets are very, very costly there. What they have also said very interesting as a solution is that reimburse the cost of the inducement. You are staying in, I do not remember the name of the hotel in Mangalore, which the institute normally frequents, but Deepa International, Deepa Comforts.
Deepa Comforts.
Deepa Comforts. Your client says you stay in Deepa Comforts, no problem. Do the work. I'll pay for Deepa Comforts, the client says. You tell him, okay, I'll stay in Deepa Comforts, but I'll reimburse the cost. You don't pay for it. There are all small nitty-gritty ways in which we are trying to, get as independent as possible. Otherwise, they are also saying return the gift if you want, not a problem. A couple of things which you can possibly do. This is already there on this thing here. Okay. Now I'll come to the topic on certificates versus the Code of Ethics, which is also a thing which we are going to discuss because this is an area where I think a lot of questions have arisen. A lot of issues also have arisen because of the fact that on the positive side, I can tell you all this, that many regulators feel that a certificate from a chartered accountant is still a comfort. That's on the positive side. They still feel that you please get a certificate from a chartered accountant. Your auditor, get a certificate from your auditor. It is not only a question of documentation, it's also a source of comfort for the regulators themselves. So that's a huge positive from this. But on the flip side, what is happening is that the sort of certificates we are trying to give nowadays, or they are asking us to give, we sometimes start thinking, is it really a job of a chartered accountant to give this? We have always felt that chartered accountant should give only something related to financial matters. Why should I give a certificate regarding KYC of the client? He has got his own Aadhaar card, he has got his own photograph, he has got his own PAN card. Tomorrow, suppose he gets some duplicate Aadhaar card, there are people even today, they got multiple PAN cards. What he is going to give us? We do not know. And on top of it, they are going to give us asking us to give a certificate. It has got both the plus and the minus side. So that is why we will have to link this with the code of ethics. The UDIN portal has recognized 36 different types of certificates. Drop down menu 36 bharat. Concurrent auditor doing other work, statutory auditor giving certificate for bank, 3CB certification, net worth of banks, net worth of financial institutions, somewhere in the middle, they have also put this thing called as others. If all the 36 are there, we have no problem at all. We will know exactly, we'll go click on that and do it. Others can be anything. In fact, the KYC also is there in the drop down menu. I have seen that. Others can mean anything. Now, in the normal course, we know that there are certain certificates which are required by the regulators. This is something which we definitely are aware of. SEBI requires certificates. RBI requires certificates. IRDA requires some certificates. NHAI requires some certificates. All this is in their framework, in their regulations, in their laws. They are saying, please get a certificate from a chartered accountant. This, I don't think we have any problem at all. This, I don't think we should have any problem at all, because net worth calculation, we know very, very well. In fact, just to tell you all, just to keep you all informed about this thing, for this IPO, for this IPO, you have seen all these DRHPs, people, everybody is going for an IPO nowadays. 47 certificates required by chartered accountants. Statutory auditor has to give 47 certificates for an IPO at different stages of filing the DRHP. For tax matters, for Ind AS financials conversion, previous auditors, everything, whatever is there. There are a total of 47 certificates which the auditor has to give. In the drop-down menu of the UDIN, you only get certificates as per LODR regulations. Other 47, we only get one as per LODR regulations. This thing is there, drop-down menu is there. But we have to accept the fact that UDIN is only an identification. It's only an authenticity for having issued the certificate. It does not talk about the different types of certificates. They have given the drop-down menu because that's what they thought of. It is only an authenticity that this certificate has been signed by this particular chartered accountant. Others will include a whole lot of things. For example, I tell you all, NHAI gets asked for a certificate from all these infra companies for the work done by the auditor. Sorry, not by auditor, work done by the infra company. You are building a road between Mangalore and Bangalore. It has been given to some company. Let us say it's been given to L&T. It's a project of L&T and some other company. Every month, NHAI is asking chartered accountant to certify amount of work done on the basis of running bills. Same project, how much of GST has been collected, how much has been paid, how much ITC has been deposited, what is there in the balance and all those things. I remember I've put in this because of the fact that I know people who have issued these certificates. So it so happened that a friend of mine who was doing this NHAI work for a company in Hyderabad. So he got the certificate done. He issued the certificate. He got UDIN. Everything was done properly. I think this was some Tirupati Chittur Road or something of that sort, some company. It doesn't matter. But I asked him what was the basis on which he did the certificate. He said, I took all the running bills into account. It was a pretty complex document. It was all the running bills, total of all the running bills, and said, okay, GST also was collected, so no problem as far as that is concerned. And he gave the certificate. Not there in the normal list of things, but NHAI had told the infra company, please get a certificate from the auditor. So I told this friend of mine, I told him, can you please ask the infrastructure company to send this email from the NHAI? Because you should have some document. You are issuing a certificate, no problem. You can issue a certificate at the behest of the client also. That also no problem. But only for the purpose of your understanding, can you ask the client to send that email, whatever he has got from the NHAI? Promptly the client sent it, saying that this is required by the NHAI for their internal documentation. You will have to give the certificate. So he said, okay, fine. Now everything is over. I've got the document certified. You all will not believe this, but it is true. About a month and a half after he issued the certificate, some people from NHAI actually came to his office with the copy of the certificate, and asked him, we just wanted to verify if you have actually issued the certificate or not, or whether the certificate was issued by your firm, whatever it may be. They actually did a physical verification of certificate itself. He said, yeah, this is what we have been doing. Then he was tempted to ask them, saying that, sir, why are you asking this question? I've never seen somebody coming and asking, UDIN is there, you can go online and see the UDIN. No, he said, no, UDIN all we don't know much about, but we've been instructed by NHAI to go on this basis and check physically. And they also told him that in many cases, we have found out that certificates have actually not been issued also. This is where the flip side comes in here, right? So a lot of these certifications would come in for the purpose of certification by the auditor. We had a very funny situation wherein, I do not know, many of you know, client has filed his income tax return. The client has filed his income tax return. Whatever income he has shown, he has shown it there. And I think the income tax return was under process or something of that sort. He had applied to some bank for some, I think it was for a loan, or I do not know exactly what it was, but some procedure of the bank. The bank has asked him, saying that please certify, get a signature from the child account on the income tax return. Ask him to sign, put a seal saying the income tax return has been filed. So this person came to my office and said, I want your seal. I told him my seal is not for public documentation. You cannot do this. I don't know. Why do they require it? It is your income tax return. Okay, we may have filed it for you, but everything is clear. You got a account number, everything. We will not be able to certify it. He said, no, the bank is in. And I remember now, it was for visa purposes, some visa remittance or something it was for. Yeah. Then I told him, no, it's not possible. Then I told him, please ask the banker to give a letter that I require this for this purpose, for whatever purpose he may require. So he went to the bank and said, the auditor wants a letter for this. The banker never gave the letter at all. And this person also did not take this thing. He went and said, okay, so he never gave the letter. So this is where I think we need to be just that extra careful. I mean, they may want to, as I said, no, they're not asking for it in a negative way. They want a sense of comfort. It's basically outsourcing your responsibility to somebody else. That's all. Instead of doing all the work yourself and saying, actually, file madidara ilva idya le, you want CA, no, he's an sitting there in the office, let him certify and give it. No problem. So I think that borderline is what we have to be very careful about. And I told you a few of these things here. Sources of income, LODR certificates, RAR certificate, capital contribution net was this certificate issued for KYC purpose for bank for confirming sole proprietor. Format DCB bank. They have given a format also. Dear sir, madam, this is certified that Mr. is a proprietor. Proprietor of having its office at the concern is engaged in the business of dash. The certificate is being issued to enable the proprietary concern to open a current over DCB Bank Limited. This is exactly the format also. I downloaded and I'm sending. Many of you must have done this also. I have only one question here. The only question I've got is, okay, Kamath sir has issued the certificate. No problem. On what basis is Kamath sir issuing the certificate? Okay, he takes Aadhaar card of client, he takes address proof, everything he takes and keeps in his office. Beyond that, what is Kamath sir doing in this? Nothing else. This the bank only can do. He may charge 5,000 rupees for this and get fees. No problem at all. The only risk here is that, as we all know, Aadhaar card, there are two problems in Aadhaar card. One is that your photograph never comes properly. Everybody's photo is very, very bad in Aadhaar card. I think all of you had to accept. That's one problem there. Second, many cases what has happened is that names have been misspelled. Names have been misspelled in Aadhaar card. In some small combination, ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಲ್ಲಿಯೋ. We do not know what they do. Suppose on the basis of Aadhaar card, Kamath sir has signed this and given it to them, and the actual name turns out to be different. Photo doesn't matter, you leave it, but name turns out to be different. Again, you'll have to go for rectification of Aadhaar card. Again, you'll have to come back to Kamath sir for certificate. He can keep on charging 5,000 rupees every single time. But the problem is that this certificate does not add value either to the bank, to the client, or to Kamath sir. I can give it to you, no problem. I'll give the certificate to you. I am very happy to give this to you. Absolutely no problem. I'll give you multiple copies also. No problem at all. But what is the value addition from this, from the bank's point of view? This is where I think, I'm sure many of you are aware of this. Okay, I'll just tell you about this part of it. There was an RTA application which was filed by a person called as Nitin Pandurang Hargu. I'm sure many of you have already seen this. On April 2nd, 2021, he wrote to the Reserve Bank of India on an RTI application. Number also I've read on for you. And he asked a few questions. I put both the question and the answer here. The first question he asked was, signing on project report for loan purposes with seal Udin of CA thereon. I wish to ask the Reserve Bank of India if there's any specific circular notification demanding signing on projects reports, CMA report while advancing new loans. RBI has become like very political advertising. They are starting and saying that we have not issued any specific instruction in this regard. They should have stopped there only. They go on to say that how it may note that credit-rated ratios are mostly deregulated. RBI has advised banks to have documents of investment policy, loan recovery policy, etc., etc. They have not said that whether you should do it or not. His second question also was similar thing only. Giving certification, signing on unaudited balance sheets and income tax returns of clients, and generating, I wish to ask the Bank of India if there is any specific circular notification to all the commercial banks, same reply. We do not know what is to be done now. But I am going to take precaution, I am going to take solace under the fact that basically we have not issued any specific instructions in this regard. Means RBI does not want it, which means the bank wants it. RBI does not want it, but the bank wants it. We all know how to get around this. As per information and documents produced by the client, we can give a certification. But you can see his request here. His request was very, very genuine. He was trying to ask whether project report, I may have prepared a project report. That is fine. I can prepare a project report. I have no problem preparing sources of funds. I can prepare a project report. Not a problem at all. Project report prepared by somebody else. Should I sign it? I don't think so. But his report, his point was very clear, saying that should I certify or should I sign the project report itself? It's not a document, it's only a report, right? But they have given this sort of this thing. Similarly, CMA report, unaudited balance sheet. We are saying it's unaudited. So where's the question of signature there in that? We are saying unaudited, and we are putting and saying as per books of accounts and information received there. But unfortunately, what has happened? This reply has come in from the RBI. So I am going to say that yes, in this particular situation, RBI clearly does not want it, which means that the bank wants it. If the bank wants it, what are the safeguards which you as a chartered accountant would take to ensure that you give this certificate if required, or you tell them I will not be able to give the certificate because it's not required. It's only required for the banker. I mean, the bankers may come up and ask for so many things. So, as I told you, if you ask them for a request letter, they may or may not give you a request letter. We do not know how it is going to happen, right? Income tax returns, I am very, very clear. I don't think we should be certifying the income tax returns. I don't think we should even get into that area of discussion also, because they may want it, but still we should try and tell them that, look, it is not a document which a chartered accountant can actually, what are you going to write in the income tax return? As per income tax website, this has been filed. That's what I'm going to say. No. He can already see it there. There's no need for us to certify it. But then I do understand that the purpose of this program is to give a solution to this problem, right? Should you do it or should you not do it? But I'll finish the other part of it. And he said, and I'll come back to this thing. Certificate of know your customer by CA. That also says nothing. RBI has not asked for anything. KYC no bad and but RBI. KYC, they said we have not given instructions for KYC. Utilization certificates from CA's few banks before sanctioning of loan demand CA certificate about stating fact that the client will not utilize the loan for any unlawful, illegal, terrorist activities. How CA can give such a certificate for loan benefits enjoyed by the client? I've already told the same. He's asked very relevant, practical questions. Question, he's already asked that, right? All the above matters are dealt with by the concerned bankers with their own potential customers for the respective benefits. How can a chartered accountant even know about this? In Canada, I urge you to please look into the matter on urgent basis to act and reply issue to my queries. It will impact the large professional like us. Very detailed job done by Mr. Nitin Pandurang Hargude. And RBI, in typical RBI language, has said that all very nice, but it's not information as per ICAI. It's just, so we'll not be able to answer this. So from this RTI, we come across basically 3 areas of concern. I'll come in reverse order. Saying that utilization certificate, right? Client will not utilize the loan for any unlawful, illegal, terrorist activities. I do not even know how to respond to this if somebody asks me a question. Okay, we are assuming that again, familiarity. We'll ask the client, terrorism, okay, fine, we can give us a. That's not the way we should look at this at all. I think we go on a completely different track altogether if we go on that route. My point is going to be that if the bank, without the, let's be clear on this, RBI is not asking for this, the bank is asking for this. If the bank is asking us to certify future financial behavior of the client, I don't think we should do this. I think I'm very clear that, others may have a different opinion, but very clear. RBI is asking us, the bank is asking us to certify future financial behavior of the client. Not possible. I don't think we should be able to even should look into the certificate at all. You all may ask me a question. Can I put a disclaimer? If the client goes to London, I'm not responsible. And I don't think you can put that in a disclaimer in this certificate. I think that's the point we're trying to drive here, right? Similarly, there is a purpose of funds. There's a sources of funds, application of funds. He has got certain funds. He has utilized certain funds. If you want a utilization certificate, post-utilization, that we can give. The client has got a term loan. He has utilized to buy plant and machinery. That if you want, I'll give. I'm very happy giving that. No problem at all. Because I know he has purchased plant and machinery for this amount of turn on is that this much of P&M has been purchased. We know that's for a fact. But whether in the future he is going to do this or not, I will not be able to certify. I don't think we should be able to certify that at all. Because see, the problem in all these certificates is only one single issue comes up there. How much of a risk are you taking? In fact, even your Schedule 3, revised Schedule 3, Caro has got this clause. Auditor should certify whether the client will be able to pay all his dues within the next 1 year. Client, how do we know about this? So I am going to say in my report, I have told my office, please, that we are unable to provide this information. It doesn't matter what happens, we will not be able to provide this information. Similarly, here I think just look at two situations. Situation number 1 is that if the financial behavior of the client prior to disbursement is being asked, please don't certify it. If the financial behavior post disbursement has been asked, please certify it. Absolutely no problem in that, because you all know that he has purchased plant and machinery. You all know that this is what has happened. No problem as far as that is concerned. But KYC, I leave it to your judgment. You all can decide what is to be done for KYC certificate. Project report, prepare the project report, no problem. Certifying the project report, I still feel that, whether the project report is to be certified or not is something which we'll have to think of in a very, right? The point in project reports is that, okay, many of us do prepare project reports. We put our name also there. Then signature, problem anyhow, he knows that you're doing it, but You can't certify it and say this is what it is. That's a problem there in that as far as project reports are concerned. Income tax returns, my view is very, very clear. Tomorrow they will come and say, please sign the GST returns also. Client DSC Agbek Matanam. You only can certify everything. No. They'll say come and certify the TDS returns also. So this will go into endless loop. My personal advice to all of you all would be that there are two situations, right? One is required by regulators. No argument, please certify. Required by local banks. Two subdivisions there. Financial behavior, non-financial behavior, or non-financial certificates. Financial certificates, please issue, no problem. Non-financial, think twice about issuing. I would like to categorize this in these basic baskets so that you'll ensure that your certification is at least to a certain extent, you're clear as to what you're certifying. If the banker is asking us to crystal gaze into the future and try to do some certification, even with a disclaimer clause, I'm telling you, even if you put a disclaimer clause there, we may not be completely safe, if I may use the word. You may not be completely safe because yesterday disclaimer certificate is issued in your name and your signature is there, your seal is there. So I would just probably tell you all to be a little bit wary about that aspect alone on this thing. So here's the thing. If it is not a part of a law or rule or notification, do not issue the certificate. I'm just talking about. It could be the bank also. What will you all do? Basically, I was asking this as to what you all could do. Okay. Regulators insist on certificates as a part of their laws. What if they are not a part of the laws? Specific request from the client and certification response to request of the client. So what I'm basically trying to say here is that, okay, your bank has come and asked you, ask your client, utilization of funds post-disbursement, not pre-disbursement, post-disbursement, utilization of funds. You have data with you. Ask the client to give a request and you give the certificate. Again, not many of us may be doing this on a completely, all the certificates we issued. We never take this request letter from the client and all, but by and by, please develop this as a habit or please develop this as a practice in your organization. Get a request letter, issue a certificate in response to that request letter. You will have to build in this these habits in the office at some point of time. Okay, I will quickly take a few questions. I'm not completed still. I just come to the last part of it, but I think we'll take the questions then. No problem. Yeah, a couple of questions. I'll take those questions in the end. Right? Okay. Format I did over dependence that bad though, and yeah. Sorry. This is just going in the wrong direction. Yeah. So specific request from the client and issue a certificate in response to the request, because y'all will basically, you look at to whom the certificate is being issued. It's being issued to maybe issued to the bank, but on behalf of the client, for the client. So therefore, get the request letter and then issue the certificate as a response to that request letter. That is something which you all will have to do, right? So yeah, so I basically had three options to you all for certification. Though I told the first one, what will you all do basically? Do not issue the certificate, or issue the certificate a disclaimer, or issue the certificate without a representation letter or with the representation letter, as the case may be. So I think out of these three options, the response is that it depends upon what type of certificate is being issued also. MRL will definitely help you a lot, but MRL will not help you beyond a particular stage. The MRL, you will get the certificate from the client, but it will not help you beyond a particular stage. So my response to yours, or my solution to the certificate should be very, very clear, as I told you all just now. Regulatory requirements, problem not an issue. Please issue it without any problem at all. But we are getting these requests, as all of you all have seen now, this signing on income tax returns, project reports, CMA returns, all these things, your KYC documentation and all. I would, as I said, anything non-financial, I'll definitely think twice about it. Like, for example, KYC document is a non-financial thing. Right? In fact, income tax return also is a non-financial document. It's only a document you are signing. That's not, you're not computing anything there. That also is non-financial in nature. Think twice about it. There's no harm in issuing it, but please think twice about it, because you do not know how things in the present day and age, you do not know how things can go wrong. You should not think about how things are going right now. Things can go terribly wrong in the present day and age. So just be a little bit more careful. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not saying you should not do it and all those things, but just try to be a little bit more careful and vigilant. That's all I'm trying to say here. Okay. I will just give you all a few case laws before I take a few questions. Consumption certificate. Case laws, not even the consumption certificates I've given here. Case laws. Many problems have come in this consumption for export authorities, central excise. Lot of problems. Many misconduct cases have come. This is Gopal Shukla case. This thing. Here, he has issued the certificate for importing raw material. Did not do the proper this thing here. The export authorities asked him for so many times questions. He did not answer. He was held guilty of professional misconduct. So this is for the purposes of old customs rules. Fake certificate of incorporation. But you look at here again, customs case, investigating into cases of fraudulent imports and clearance, issued false certificates to several parties. Guilty of other misconduct. Kanodia. This is a 2004 case. I'm just trying to show you all what can go wrong in certification. Idea is not to, dissuade all of you or disencourage all of you. False certificate for disbursement of loan. See, this brings us to a very important discussion about what is this false certificate at all. I mean, in the first place, what is this false certificate? Vague certificate by him contributed and, enabled the officers of the bank to have paper formalities completed which amounted to aiding and abetting the child account for disbursement of loan here. Vague certificate. We do not know what the meaning of vague is, but this was also went up all the way up to the High Court. Please remember what has happened here. This has got some, superintendent of police and all those people involved went all the way to the High Court also. Endorsing signature of a dead person on certificate. We don't have to look at this thing. This is something which I thought I should tell you all, because this is very interesting. I think some of you may be also be doing this job. Audit Bureau of Circulation, the ABC. They ask us to certify the circulation of newspapers. They ask us to certify into circulation of newspapers. How much is circulation done? How much is the subscription received? And all those things. Many of these people are doing it. All this Inadu, Deccan, they all keep doing it. And it's a pretty interesting job, wherein you actually have to go and look at how that circulation has actually gone across. They have records for all those things. The total amount of subscriptions received, total amount of all this is mentioned there very clearly. ABC certification is called. Here, what he has done is that without going into the most elementary detail of how circulation records were being maintained. Nodleilla. 1971 case, Rajendra Singh, Registrar of Newspapers in India. Even today, this ABC certification is going on. You see here, respondent has issued put this in bold because the 2017 DC case. 3 certifications of MNC Singapore based, internal computation sheet, net worth computation and turnover computation sheet of MNC. And huge difference between the certificate given and the actual thing which has been filed by the MCA. So this is Power Finance Corporation, or those situations of, I think this was more for a person in industry, I think, but again you can see here. But the reason why I put all this for all of you all is just to give you all an idea as to how vigilant we should be in certification, case laws. So I think what we should probably think of is as a solution to this problem is that, okay, there are certain clients who will come and ask you for certificates, and see, you can't categorize between clients here. You can't do that. You can't say, this client is very good and good for him. You'll have to take a stance with the firm. This stance has to come as a firm. Whether you want to do this for this client or not is a different situation altogether. Firm, take a stance whether we're going to do this or not. Though I've given you a lot of these professional misconduct cases, I'm quite sure that we are going to build up any and I can tell you all very clearly that most of those DC cases, certificates have been given wrongly, or they have been false certificates. So let's not even get into the discussion of why those certificates we should. I mean, that should not really be a discussion we should be having, because none of us are going to do it. I'm quite clear about that. But within this framework of what is being asked right now, what should we do? I will, as I said, I'll repeat my, what you can say, the solution which I gave to all of you all. I will just look at a few questions and then we will see if there are any more questions to be given. Okay. Sriram V. Rao sir has asked a question. Should we mention the addressee in the certificate issued? I mean, what I believe is issuing certificate without the address is not permissible now, right? Yeah, it's a good point, Sriram, but it depends on the certificate also being issued, right? If it is to a banker, you have to address it to the banker only. You can't say to whomsoever it may be concerned. It has to be issued to the banker only. So I don't think you can do that, generally. To whomsoever it may concern is not. To whomsoever it may be concerned is only for HR people. This person was employed in this organization, not for certificate of chartered accountant. So you have to be very clear on that. Address it to somebody specific, if possible, address it to client only, doesn't matter. Banks non-financial certificate, I gave an example already. Is there any specific format for a letter of request in the clients for certifications? MN Pai sir has asked this question. I will, you can use any format, but if required, you can get in touch with me. I'll give you a format. So that should not be a problem at all. I'll definitely give you a format. Whether UDIN is required for the certification of the principal to students as per requirements of ICAI. Gautam has asked this question. Principal to students as per requirements of ICAI. You're talking about those articles, students, is it? I don't think it is required for that. I don't think it's required for that. Identification, the institute will be having then their records. I don't think it's required for that. Okay, Prashant Pai has asked this question. The financial statements of auditor are provided after being approved board meeting. Many errors noticed in the figures in the finance statement very significantly. Can any communications taken place when the auditor and the relevant be included as kept as auditor? Absolutely. Absolutely. Very, very good point. Can the communication taken place between the auditor and the client? Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head, Prashant Pai sir. You have got this absolutely right. See, there are standards will take care of it. Events out of the balance sheet date, all that will take care of it. But this, what you have mentioned, if there are many errors which have been noticed, you definitely need to have that as a part of your communication. In fact, I would also suggest that you write to the company or the audit committee and tell them this thing also. Ideally speaking, I think you should be writing to the audit committee and telling them this is what has happened. So that at least as an auditor, you are very, very clear as to what is being happened there. Please keep the audit committee informed about this. That documentation will definitely have to be maintained. No doubt about it at all. Absolutely clear. Sir, okay. That's it, sir. Nankadenda Laito. My email ID and phone number is here. Any doubts, any clarifications, any certification required, please, you can send me a mail. No problem. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
And everything in a very lucid manner, I think. That's why very few questions have come. Sir, I want to ask one personally, because I thought that I will present questions, but you have taken yourself those questions. Sir, you told that we cannot accept any gift. Or auditors cannot accept any gift from the client. Oh, sorry. Okay. So what if, suppose he is taking us to foreign tour?
Sir, we're not able to hear you, sir. We're not able to hear you.
One minute. Isn't it? Audible, no, sir?
No audible.
Yeah, sir, you told that we cannot take any gift. What if, suppose, we go foreign tour along with the client? We go to foreign.
Go for foreign tour?
Yeah, along with the client.
Tour with the client.
With the client. Yeah, with the client.
Okay.
So what if, whether it is considered as a gift or what?
That will come under hospitality, sir. Hospitality will barattado. But ತುಂಬಾ ಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಇಫ್ ಪಾಸಿಬಲ್ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಗೋ ವಿತ್ ದ ಕ್ಲೈಂಟ್, ಗೋ ವಿತ್ ಯುವರ್ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ.
No,
But
that is true, sir. Suppose a client wants to what is that? Study something. He wants to study something regarding the machineries or something. So then he also calls the CA also. Okay, come along with me. That I want to see that one. Will understand it. Then but it will be from one side. He is also examining. He is also studying from the one side. From the second side, that yes, he will be taking care of all the expenditure of the tour. Now we may charge also additionally, apart from the he is taking us, but for that we may be charging also for it. So because we accompanied him, so whether it is considered as a gift or it will be considered as any assignment, can we take it up?
It will be considered to be assignment. Assignment ತಗೋಬಹುದು ನೀವು.
Okay, but can we take that assignment apart from the this one attesting? So is it
that you can, no problem. That you can, no problem.
Okay, there is no problem to go to foreign along with that. We can take it up as
you should consider this to be a business trip ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಅದೇನಿಲ್ಲ, foreign trip ಅಂದ್ರೆ business trip ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಬೇರೇನಿಲ್ಲ.
Okay. Sir, one more question. 1 minute.
ನಾನು ನೋಡ್ತೀನಿ, ನನ್ನ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ನೋಡ್ತೀನಿ ಬಿಡಿ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಹೇಳಿ.
Okay.
What are the minimum documents to be kept along with the certificates provided? Again, Prashant, I think what you need to do is look at what is the certificate which is being issued. Apart from the request letter, also you look at, say for example, he's asking you for net worth, basis for net worth. What are the calculations for net worth? Take it from his balance sheet or whatever document you're going to maintain for that purpose. On that basis, you can do. Can an auditor do a pro bono audit? We do the audit of some temples or institutions without charging any fee. Giridhar Kamath, absolutely, you can do it, no problem at all. No issues as far as pro bono audit is concerned. Anyway, most of the paid audits also are becoming pro bono audits nowadays. So, in the lighter vein I'm saying, but yeah, you can do pro bono audits. Absolutely no problem as far as, no need for you to actually charge a fee. In fact, many people in many temples in Bangalore, also many chartered accountants are doing pro bono audit. Not a problem. You can do that. Yes, sir. Kama sir, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, sir. No more questions, I believe. So we can conclude. One more question has come.
Communication with the previous auditor means we had actually audited the accounts immediately sitting here to appointed as such. Someone between appointed should the new auditor come forth. Yeah. Okay. So Vijay Kumar's question is that previous auditor actually audited the accounts of the immediately preceding year, or anyone who has been appointed as such. Between someone should. Yeah. So he's saying that there were a situation wherein the previous auditor was there, but the new auditor was appointed in interim, and then this new firm was appointed. Ideally speaking, yes, you should correspond with both the people. Ideally, both the people. In fact, I think there's a guidance which says both the people only from the ICAI itself. You should write to both the people, definitely. Because one you're writing as the previous auditor for the accounts, one you're writing as from the appointment point of view. So therefore, both.
Sir. Then, sir, then we'll move to vote of thanks, I think. And Ansita, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please proceed to vote.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Gratitude is not only the greatest of all virtues, but the parent of all others. A very good evening to all the qualified chartered accountants and everyone present here. On behalf of the Mangalore branch, I thank CA Mohan R. Lavi for wholeheartedly accepting our invite and for taking his precious time out and for consenting to be the resource person for today's webinar. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I thank the chairman of the Mangalore branch, CA K.S. Kamath, for organizing this event. It is under your guidance that this program was conducted smoothly. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I also thank the members of the managing committee, including CA S.S. Nayak, sir, for his supportive gestures. Finally, I thank all the delegates for joining us for today's webinar. I wish you all a pleasant evening. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Hello. Thank you, Ansita. You have done a wonderful job.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Hello. We'll close the meeting now, sir. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. We'll close the meeting.